All right, so I'm going to start with DeBasis. DeBasis says, shout out to DeBasis, what's a strategy for keeping on track at work? Okay, I love this question. So folks, a lot of people get their time management skills tested when they get to work. And this is why I'm always tying this back to business of one concepts, why you are a business of one, why you're a service provider. So I want you to imagine that your boss and your coworkers are your clients. The first thing you have to do is go to your clients and say, how do you define success? How will you know when I am meeting your expectations? What are the metrics that we can use so that you will know I am hitting the mark? And most of you usually have those metrics. If you don't, if your boss hasn't given those to you, you need to set a meeting with your boss and get those metrics. And what you want to do, DeBasis and everyone else, is say, let's break that down, because, not just what you want to see me do in a year, but then what does that look like month to month? And what does that look like week to week? And maybe even what does that look like day to day? And if you can sit with your boss, your manager, your peers and say, hey, I'm mapping out a plan. I'm mapping out a success plan. I want metrics. And I want to be able to measure my success every day, every week, every month, up to the year. I'm going to take ownership. So when that time comes for me to do my review with my boss, I'm not waiting around for my boss to tell me whether or not I hit my numbers and I did a good job. I know I did a good job because I, from the get-go, build out a plan to measure myself. And I got the inputs of what that looks like from my boss. And I regularly checked in with my boss once a month and said, hey, this is what I got done week over week. Here's where I'm at. Are you happy with this? Should I make any adjustments to my plan? This is a partnership. This is how you get feedback. So often people say to me, I don't get enough feedback from my boss. Your boss is busy. Your boss has lots of people to manage. You want feedback? Set up a plan, measure it, ask to meet with your boss once a month and say, can I go over my numbers with you? Can I show you what I've done? What do you think? Your boss isn't going to have a problem with that. That's called managing up. That's called proactiveness. Now, once you have those numbers, build a plan to execute on them. If you know you have to get 10 tasks done a day, organize them in priority. What is the most important? And again, this is where you sit down with your boss, your peers, and you say, which one of these are mission critical? Meaning, if I even miss it for a day, I'm going to throw us off. I'm going to hurt everybody else on the team. I'm going to hurt the company. I'm not doing my job. What's the one that has to be done every day, non-negotiable? That goes to the top. Then there's the one that says, what's the one that could probably slide a day, but still needs to be done by the end of the week, or we're in trouble? And then what are the ones that, hey, they can slide a week or so, but they need to be done by the end of the month or we're going to fall behind? Very quickly, you're going to have your priority list. And then it's just a simple question of getting yourself to work and knocking out your punch list. Knocking it out. And in the beginning, this might seem like a lot of work, but eventually it becomes a habit. Habits take time. We have to do things repeatedly until our brain, our ancient brain, gets so used to it that we can go on autopilot. But we absolutely can. And once you've built this system and you've worked your plan and you've prioritized your tasks and you've done that for a couple of months, you're going to be blown away at how efficient you get. You'll be able to just go in and know what has to be done first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way through. And then you're going to have time left over. And that's a beautiful thing, because here at Work It Daily, we teach something called the pyramid method. And it's 3 levels. There's core, which is your core work that you have to get to be able to do, that you can do in your sleep, that you can do and still have some time left over. When you get so good at your job, your core job, that about 20% of your time, maybe one day a week is left over that you could do other stuff. Now you start to do reach projects. So now you go to your boss and say, I've got bandwidth. I have some ideas of how I could add more value to the company. I have some projects I think I could do that could save us time or money. You start to find hacks to improve your core and be able to do more. This is where you start to prove you're worth more. And this is important, because if any of you out there want more money, you've got to move from core to reach. And then once you start doing reach repeatedly and building that in and making yourself more efficient, eventually you hit the top of the pyramid, and that's passion. This is when you've essentially built up an expertise. And when you build up an expertise and you're a specialist at something, you're able to identify opportunities and do stuff that other people in the company can't. So when you get to passion level, boom, this is when your career really starts to take off, folks. So anybody out there that is looking to grow your career, you should be following the pyramid. You've got to get your core down pat. You've got to be able to start to reach. You got to take the reach experiences, turn them into saving the company money, making the company money. And then eventually you hit the passion part where you're a specialist and you stand out. And that's when it becomes epic. Okay. But that's the plan. There's no rocket science there. There's no brain surgery we're talking about here. Time management is simply, I'm a business. I need to know what metrics my employer is measuring me on. I need to break them down by year, by month, by week, by day, and then I need to organize them, and then I got to hold myself to them. That's it. That's all you got to do. And it's so funny because so many people come to me and say, JT, my company doesn't give me numbers. I don't know what to do. That's you acting like an employee. That's you acting like a victim. And if you're going to do that, you're not going to go anywhere in your career. Your career isn't growing, it's dying. And that's some really harsh words from me, but I have been at this for over 15 years. And I am telling you, the people that crush it in their careers don't see themselves as an employee. They see themselves as a business partner. And when you change that mindset and you take ownership, everything shifts. Okay. Awesome. All right. Great question. Thank you for asking it.